Thank you so much to the touchdown. They do it again tomorrow between 3 and 6. Thank you, because the biggest platform for all things sports in Southern Africa, is all because of you. And that's why, come 1845, we want to hear from you on 086 000 2160. Your WhatsApps on 060 552 It is customary that on a Thursday on this show, we throw back. We tell amazing stories of ordinary South Africans who've done amazingly extraordinary things. But we did that yesterday in a very heartfelt conversation that we had with Zulu, Siyabonga Zulu, new player out at La Masia, looking to restart his career and catch up on about 8 to 10 years wasted. Or were they? Teachings, lessons that he had to learn the hard way around. So today, after everything that happened yesterday, we figured, no man, we can't let it go. We'll touch on it tomorrow again with the Podcast Friday, guys, but we have to talk to TS Galaxy's Tim Sukazi. Sundowns are not in the country at the moment. They've traveled. They left this morning, so they're gone. They're gone. They're going to go play in Angola. They've moved. They're settling in Angola. But Tim Sukazi, chairman of TS Galaxy, is going to be talking to us about what transpired yesterday. Firstly, their victory, going to the next round of this very new trophy. The incident with Bongani Zungu, and Bernard Parker. Where is Bernard Parker? How is Bernard Parker doing? What is the extent of Bernard Parker's injury? For those who are brave enough to watch it, I do hear and I do know that it's on social media. I didn't see it live. I don't intend on ever seeing it. So yeah, we can get on there and see the extent of that, and you perhaps will get context of what we're talking about. And then overall, there was, at the end of the match, the coach, Sead Ramovic, refusing to do an interview. Why did he refuse to do that interview? The chairman can perhaps help us answer that and what his feelings of that match was all the way out to the penalties. But let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll deal with that. It is a throwback Thursday, but we're not throwing back too far. We're going back to last night. The first of the Carling Cup trophy, the first of its kind, playing for the very first time. The very first match will be remembered for a lot of different things. The Carling Knockout and the Carling Cup, of course, Fagu Kesi. We'll speak to Arne Ruud about that as well in just a bit. But right now, I think let's go back to yesterday. Tim Sukazi, chairman of TS Galaxy, is with me on the line now. Tim, always a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations on your victory last night.
Hey, Andile, it's been a while, my friend. Good evening to you and your listeners. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having us.
It's been a while, and I need to pick a bone with you before we move forward. Before we start about last night, I need to because I regard you as a friend of the show. I regard you as somebody who, we can always look out to and reach out to, who's never afraid to speak their mind as well, Tim, when it comes to all things to do with this beautiful game that we love, right?
For sure, no doubt about that.
But I was very disappointed, Tim. I was very disappointed that when things weren't going very well at your club, you weren't willing to come talk to us.
Oh, no, there's nothing that never went well, Andile. It's just that, not that even I wasn't willing. All that sensationalization of rubbish and nonsense based on lies from people, players, union, who are not part of TS Galaxy, spreading all kinds of things. I didn't want to perpetuate it any further. It's unfortunate, obviously, that caused me to be lost from the show for that moment. But yeah, I'm back, man. Let's move on.
Well, we will move on, Tim, but I do hope that in the future this is an open line that you can use and we can use as well, both sides, so that we're always up to date. But let's let bygones be bygones and focus a little bit on last night. Firstly, congratulations, you're through the very first match, the very first one of its kind, the Carling Black Label Knockout, and you made it through. Congratulations! This is history in the making.
Yeah, sure, man. Obviously, we are quite grateful, TS Galaxy, to have managed such a very hectic triumph. You saw what went on last night, but then obviously, again, a victory as it was, it's supposed to be in a celebratory mood, but then given what happened on the field of play, it's now bittersweet.
Well, I don't want to put words in your mouth, and I don't want to, ask you anything to feed you. I want your, unaltered thoughts and feelings of what you're talking about and how your view of last night was. So please do share with us. When you think of last night, I think of a victory. I think of, Bernard Parker, of course. I think of Sead Ramovic at the end. What about you? When you speak about the fact that you can't even celebrate, what is it about last night you'd like to highlight?
Yeah, well, that's the kind of game. I think it was, it was almost short of being a battlefield. The only difference is that there were no AK-47s or any form of ammunition or missiles. It made it a hard-fought victory, of course. The opponent was going to be very tough and they were not going to give in. And it was the same with us. So that was the football highlight. I think it gave the viewers or the at home and those who were at the stadium, a very good value for their money as a starting point. But of course, following our good performance, going into halftime, leading 2-0, seeing the opponent making a comeback, with one goal, and thereafter, the incident that led to the break of Bernard Parker's leg, was very, very unfortunate. It was a horrific one. Not good for the eyes, not good for football. It has got no place in football. It has to be condemned at all levels, in my humble opinion. That was the unfortunate part. Hence I started by saying we won, but it's difficult and humanly impossible to celebrate the victory, given what happened to one of our soldiers.
Talk to me about that incident. There's a lot being said. You were there. You were able to be in and around there. You saw Zungu. You saw Bernard Parker. You saw the incident. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, man. Initially when you're watching live, and of course me, I was up there with the supporters singing and all that, I didn't see it properly. It's only after, when I reviewed the footage, that I saw how bad it was. And what I saw was Zungu going over the ball clearly, going for another player, and obviously broke his leg. That's what I saw. And, take it as an incident. But then, when I then later realized that he was there at the scene of crime or crime scene, right there on the spot, and he saw exactly the leg, forget about anything else, the kind of injury that he had inflicted on another colleague, and he went on to remonstrate. That I thought it was very unfortunate. In my view, it didn't matter what kind of views or opinion or whatever, he may have held at the time, but when he saw a leg like that, there would have been no justification to any person, in remonstrating and still trying to plead innocent. That was unsportsmanship, in my view. And I've known Bongani for years. As a matter of fact, yesterday we met before the game with a short chat. I've known him to be a gentleman of the game. That was unexpected. I didn't expect him to behave in that manner. I found it very unfortunate, and hence I started by saying it has to be condemned, at all levels, so that other players don't even attempt to do such a thing, ending a person's career or inflicting an injury that may potentially end their career. It doesn't belong to football. We may be opponents, but at the end of the day, we are human beings and we all fending for our families.
I want to take a quick break because there's a couple of things on what you've just said now that I want to just touch on a little bit, Tim. But let me take a quick break. When we come back, Tim Sukazi, chairman of TS Galaxy, victorious last night against Sundowns. It took it to penalties after they'd led 2-0 at half-time. Unfortunately, a very bad incident sees Bernard Parker in hospital. How's Bernard Parker and how's he doing? We'll get to that. 18:23 on the Mighty Metro FM. The game last night between TS Galaxy and Sundowns, Mamelodi Sundowns, ending with TS Galaxy victorious. But there's so much more to that game than just what happened on the field. It spilled over to social media and to just personal opinions of footballers and football lovers alike. Tim, I'm going to be honest to you about one thing. This is possibly the most unprofessional I'm ever going to be to you. And the most unjournalistic I'm ever going to be to you, because I'm about to discuss with you an incident I have not seen. The nature of who I am does not allow me to watch things like that. So the incident that we're going to be speaking about with Bernard Parker and Bongani Zungu, I have not seen it. So please do bear with me when I say that, and I will not be seeing it either. I have a very fond space. I'm actually currently reading Bernard Parker's book. So I'm very embroiled in who he is as a person, and the very thought of a possibility of his career ending is not something I want to watch. But in your answering earlier, you said very clearly going over the ball, very clearly going for another player. To me and anybody that's listening, that almost perpetuates what we've been hearing and seeing people saying that was intentional. You know, Bongani, you saw the incident live. You were there afterwards to see the players and speak to players. You don't think that was intentional, surely?
Well, I cannot think any other way, Andile. You know, when you have the opportunity to kick the ball first, it's in front of you, you go over it and you go for an opponent's leg. I cannot say there's no intent. It looks intentional, to be honest. The anger thereafter and the remonstration, you know, just take this contention home, to be honest.
Tim, you think he meant to do what he did?
Of course.
Bongani is meant to break Bernard Parker's leg?
Not necessarily. I don't think he knew the ultimate outcome, you know, of the tackles. Probably he thought he was going hard, and maybe, you know, sort of stating, himself, or rather, showing himself to an opponent in that manner. You know, not necessarily knowing that that will end up breaking an opponent's leg. I don't think he knew that it will end up in this manner. He was going hard. He went over the ball. Players do it quite often. I think you saw it. If I'm not mistaken, Sundowns player did it against the Pirates boy. You know, I can't whether it was the final, but I saw an incident like that. They do it quite often, but it doesn't end.
They did quite often. Who? Sundowns?
No, players in general.
Players in general. Okay.
Yes.
I can respect that.
Let me call it time and again, but it doesn't end up in a leg break. So yesterday it just became that. I don't think he knew that he was going to break his leg, but he definitely intentionally went over the ball. He had the first opportunity to kick the ball away or to clear the ball or protect the ball with his ball or whatever, you know, and he went for a leg.
Has there been a conversation, and I ask this knowing, but tell us about the conversation since then, when Bongani Zungu did find out, the damage that he had caused. What was the conversation? Did they have a conversation, Bongani Zungu and Bernard Parker, since?
I can assume that maybe he hasn't found out now because, you know, we haven't heard from him. Parker, as we speak now, is undergoing surgery. So prior to, you know, hadn't heard from him. So, yeah, you know, it's quite unfortunate.
So at the end of the game, he didn't go to him as well? I mean, I've heard that he went to him and he apologized, and he's since apologized to him personally?
No, I'm not aware. He went straight to a hospital, Bernard, and he was under the care and watch of our people, you know, and medical staff, doctors at the hospital. There was no Sundowns person. So
Bongani hasn't called, nothing to apologize, to your knowledge?
To my knowledge. Best of my knowledge, you may call it.
There's pictures floating around, of course, on the internet on the scan of what is being said is Bernard Parker's leg, break on both bones. How bad is it, Tim?
Yeah, it is like that. Andile, you know, he broke both the tibia and fibula, which are the two legs that support, you know, the lower leg to the joint.
That's the big bone and the little connecting bone as well.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
And you've had conversations, it might be too early, but we know doctors, you've had conversations. What are they saying about a recovery of something like this? He's 37-year-old, is Parker at the moment. What's the future looking like right now at this stage? I mean, we've seen miracles, and that's what we're hoping for. But what are the thoughts, and what is the medical opinion right now?
The medical opinion, obviously, they see a good prospect of success. In other words, Bernard has a chance to recover. It may take longer because of his age, and of course, there's case studies. You remember Dylan Shepard, I think, went through the same thing. Those that I can remember, maybe many years ago, Dan Malisela went through the same thing.
I think Augustine Makalakalanes was pretty similar as well.
Correct, and they went on to play football thereafter. So on Bernard again, the medical team is quite confident that he will recover, albeit it might take longer. So, but from our point of view as a club, all we need now is for him to have a speedy recovery, Andile. You know, that's what matters to us. Everything else don't matter. Those who may have attended the launch of his book, at that launch, I was afforded the opportunity to deliver a bit of an address. You know, I made a commitment to him his family, and everyone in attendance that as long as TS Galaxy is around and it exists, then Parker's future in football is secured. So, that's why I'm saying all I want to see happening is him recovering fully. I'll be pleased by that. What happens thereafter, whether he decides to hang his boots up or to still play, it will be his decision. Otherwise, his future in football will be secured at our club.
Sead Ramovic at the end of that match, so unhappy that he refuses to do an interview. That's a regulatory interview that all coaches do at the end of the match, saying he's got absolutely nothing to say. I thought maybe it's because of the Bernard Parker incident, but for a victorious coach, once again, very unbecoming. What was the issue there?
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you're saying for a victorious coach, it's unusual, and pretty much unbecoming. So that should suggest to you that probably it is not entirely correct that he refused to do an interview. I heard him on a short clip saying that he does not want to talk about the game. But if you watch carefully that footage, and later when he showed it to me, because I caught wind of it myself, then at a hotel, he said, no, I did the interview. He insisted. So I don't know what he said or how it went. He said he posed. Then he was cut there at the pose. That's what he said. So I don't know, whether he's...
No, Mitch, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not quite understanding. Terribly sorry to cut you there. Because what I see, and maybe it's just me, but what I see is Pumlani Ncube asking the coach his regular question, thoughts please, and the coach saying, I don't want to speak about the game, and then the interview ending. Are you saying there was an actual interview? Maybe I just was not...
The coach insists that he did an interview. He came to me unprovoked to say my interview was not played.
So the coach did do an interview?
Yes, that's what he told me. I haven't seen it. He came to me unprovoked, at the hotel to say, Chairman, my interview was not played.
So, Tim, and you, once again, this is a little bemused. So he goes, he does the whole interview, and what we see is the part where he says he doesn't want to speak about the game only.
Yes. He showed me, he said, look at this. They played me only, and I said, I don't want to speak about the game. And then they show supporters in the stands and whatnot, and his voice couldn't be heard. It was not audible, he says. So I don't know. I really don't know. That's the bit I know. That's what he told me. I'm
going to implore you to go find out, Tim. I think you need to. I need you to go. Even if you need to call the broadcaster and say, "Hey guys, can we have this?" Because, I was watching live at that part. I didn't hear the voice over the fans. I didn't see. I heard the introduction of the coach. I heard the regular question, and I heard the coach saying he doesn't want to speak about it. But if he doesn't want to speak about the game, that's because this is another thing. Then, if it says he did the interview, yet he doesn't want to speak about the game, what would he have done the interview about?
Even further, a game where he came out victorious against a very formidable opponent. So yeah, it's quite odd. So I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I guess the coach is the only one that can answer to that part there, because from what we saw and what you're saying and what he's told you, it doesn't quite gel or make sense to us at this moment. But let's move on from that. What is there in that 90 minutes that, as far as the refereeing was concerned, you would have been unhappy about? Because, yes, the incident with Bernard Parker was a bad one, and Bongani Zungu got the red card for that. He was off the field. What else is there that you could have been unhappy about?
Look, the bias of the match officials, towards our opponent was quite unfortunate. It was too obvious, and to a certain extent it was embarrassing. That's the truth. You can see the number of calls, small incidents where we won the ball because we were playing a defensive block for obvious reasons, for those who know football.
Yeah, because last season in Bashaengai.
Yes, so we were on foot, and we had a plan. So every time we would win the ball when they were, on our half, at the edge of our 18 area, somewhere there, soft, it's a foul. When we are now on a break attack, we're out because we had put speed traps for them, So this is a foul. Therefore, if you check that first half in particular, and maybe later second half was the offside calls. I'm sure there are two. There's one in particular that Mbata hit it over the bar, but he was called, he was flagged for an offside when he was 1 yard behind the defender. Clear cut, and it was a break attack again. So those kind of things, you may want to say, it's poor and whatnot. The linesman is in line. And the ref is there, so it was quite unfortunate. I don't know what, really went down, was played in their minds or what they wished to achieve. That was, it made it very, very difficult for us. I think if we were a little bit fair, we could have done even much better. And of course, that caused us to be under excessive pressure. We played a very formidable team. Sundowns is such a team that got that ball specialist, and every time it's a foul going against us, towards our goal, they've got these kind of specialists. They've got people who can really hit the ball, they put aerially. It put us under excessive pressure, but we had to really punch above our weight at certain stages of the game. It was, maybe it's by God's grace that we came out victorious. In the end, he had to show his hand, that nothing formed shall triumph when he's watching.
And you're a straight talker, and so am I, Tim. And I want us to call a spade, because the words you're using, and I want us to be straight about it. Bambisa was the coach, I was the referee last night. You're saying he was very biased, very one-sided. He was reffing the game for Sundowns and had intent for Sundowns to win that match. And you beat all of that. The 11, later on 10 plus the referee, you beat those odds that were stacked against you. But from what you were seeing, from what you witnessed, you think the referee was playing Sundowns' hand?
Look, whether or not, whether he was doing it really to see Sundowns through, I cannot say that emphatically. But of course, the culmination of his bad officiating together with his linesmen, both of them, would be a victory to an opponent like that under normal circumstances, or if they were playing maybe a cup that wasn't as resonant as we were. So that would have been the case. Whether it really did it with intent and clear purpose, it's for him to answer. For our part, I can say, kind of bias. Westmore against an opponent like that would definitely give him a victory.
One more thing. The date that you chose. I want to play you what Rulani Mokoena had to say first, and then we'll get into it. But have a listen to this. This is Rulani Mokoena, the coach at Mamelodi Sundowns.
Which team gets to play the next day after the national team played and has 5 players in the starting lineup and then plays the next day? Which team? We're the first team to do that. So, but no one will care. The blame will be on the coach. And okay, that's the job I chose, and that's the responsibility that I should take.
Firstly, Tim, perhaps put us in the picture here. How did it come that this game was played on this day? From what we're hearing, it was of TS Galaxy's choosing that it was played yesterday. Is that true?
Let me rather respond by reading to you an email from my hand of 13 October 2023. Written to the football administrator, the PSL, Mr. Selwyn van Wyk. Good morning, Selwyn. With this, yeah. I was wondering if
No, take your time.
Yeah. I trust this finds you well. Our Mamelodi Sundowns colleagues have engaged us on the possibility of playing our Carling Cup first round on Wednesday, 18 October 2023, subject to the league's approval. After careful consideration by our technical team, this is to confirm that there is no difficulty from TS Galaxy FC in playing the third match on the third date. I trust the above to be in order, signed off by myself. And then on the same day, Mr. Yugeshi from Sundowns responds, good morning, Chairman, to me now. On behalf of our Chairman and the board, Mamelodi Sundowns sincerely thanks you for your time, understanding, and cooperation in this matter. And then further on, Mr. Singh writes to Selwyn to say, good morning, Selwyn. We thank the chairman, Mr. Sukazi, for his cooperation herein, and would like to express our sincere appreciation and gratitude to TS Galaxy. So that tells you that, I mean, I think it's self-explanatory. I don't need to explain it. Maybe coaches are not alive to what happens behind the scenes, and mostly after the game is all about emotion. But it's not the only Sundowns that played after the FIFA week. TS Galaxy also played. By the way, there were two teams at the starting point. And, we can say as much. In the end, I would just say let's try to be more gracious with it. The truth is that if you count all the players that Sundowns didn't have in last night's match, are the same players that they had when we beat them 1-0 last season. And by the way, we're a club that from our team last season, we have lost Traore, Teto, Msimango, Owas, Butelevi, Nyama, Sidat, Yamil, Medina, 8 players as well. We are a team equally so.
So you don't think it's a hollow victory, bearing in mind what the coach went on to say about the number one goalkeeper? I mean, he went to mention, the best defender, the best midfielder in the country, the best goalkeeper, all of them unavailable. It made it almost feel, from a Rulane point of view, that it was a hollow victory. Did you feel like it was a hollow victory on your end?
Look, firstly, he was obviously not as informed. I don't think he had seen this email. It was private to them. The emails I've read to you as a starting point. And certainly, the players, obviously, that he cries foul about them not being there last night. The truth is, again, I repeat, they were there, all of them, when it beat Sundowns last season. So I don't know what would have been the outcome yesterday. So, but it's not a foregone conclusion that maybe they would have beaten us, or we'd never played against Sundowns with these players on the field. We did. First opening game at Loftus with Sundowns, they were all there. Yeah, that's why I'm saying probably Coach Rami here. Obviously a bit of emotion, and maybe it's one. If I was a Sundowns person, probably this is one game I would have thought, we're gonna go easy and victorious. So now, if it doesn't happen, then obviously, it triggers certain kind of emotional response, But he's a good guy. We all know Rulani, gentleman of the game. Probably, he didn't apply his mind to the fact that I've now stated. I'm saying, and I repeat for the last time, all these players were there when we beat Sundowns last year or last season. And I'm also saying that I've counted 8 names of the players, that also were not there and that were there when we beat Sundowns. 8 of them. Yes.
Tim, I'm assuming that you're very close to the players and you talk to them. If you're going to win man of the match and get 100,000, I hope the chairman pulls you aside and says, boy, let me assist you in what to do with this lump sum coming in. 100,000, Tim, 100,000.
Probably if it was one of our youngsters, we could have done that. But then, Mlu is well established. He's accomplished quite fair enough in the game or through the game, so he knows as much. But yes, I'll ask that question, and to the extent that I may have a different view, I'll express myself to him. And most of the time, it does take heed to my guide.
Tim, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for talking to us, and all the best of luck moving forward, not only with the season, which we must still perhaps have time to talk about what's going on in the season with TS Galaxy. There's a January transfer window coming, Bernard Parker now injured, and just the future of what you guys are looking to do. Congratulations on what you're doing in the Mpumalanga province as well. I think the seeds that you're planting are slowly starting to break ground.
Andile, and thank you so much for having us and affording us the opportunity. And my apology to you and your listeners that in the past we couldn't speak. It was driven by circumstances, but we'll handle things differently or better next time. Thank you.
I really appreciate you. A friend to the room here, Tim Sukazi, talking to us about all things last night. It's time for you. Let's hear from you. It was one of those that's buoyed such conversation. So we're going to be taking your calls. and finding out exactly what it is that you think or what your thoughts are. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, quickly speak Carling Black Label, and then over to you. All right, it's 1846. Let's hear from you. Tebogo is out in Turf. He wants to speak about the behavior of Zungu. Tebogo, you there? Yeah, but now what's going on? Oh, Debza, there we go. Tebogo.
Yes, I'm here. Yeah, how's it?
You want to speak about Zungu? Talk to me.
Yeah, man. I mean, the behavior of yesterday, I was not impressed at all, you know.
Which behavior?
The Zungu after the injury, what's his name, Parker.
Mm. But yeah, that's the assumption. You are assuming he broke his leg. What if he didn't know?
No, he definitely knew, Andile. The moment you put a pressure on an object, Andile, whether it's your leg, whether it's your arm, you could feel or know, okay, here there's a bend that happened or something broken.
So you think are you part of the gang that think he did it on purpose and he wasn't even sorry for it?
Even if he did not do it on purpose, but he knew, he heard that obviously he broke Parker's leg, and then for him to behave like that, Andile, I don't know, but I don't think Zungu is someone that would be in support of him. I don't know, man. I've just lost the love what I had for that guy. Just after what he did to Parker. Yeah, no, I was disappointed. No.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. I haven't had the opportunity to speak to Bongani Zungu because he jetted off with Sundowns this morning. A colleague of mine I know has spoken to him, and from what I hear, not only was he apologetic, but he says that he didn't know that he had broken his leg. And once he realized, he says, my colleague, who's a journalist, says that he went and Zungu says he went and apologized, but Tim Sukazi gives us a different story. Let's go to Xolisa. Xolisa's out in Johannesburg, wants to speak about Sead Ramovic. Xolisa, man, maybe minang.
South Africa is very beautiful. And
maybe I can't born.
Because we all saw what happened. So for him to claim that he did conduct an interview is just out of line, bruh.
I just couldn't push Tim because obviously it's not him. You know what I mean? If the coach was here, then it would have been a different story. But it was Tim, and it wasn't him. He's got to go with what he was told. But exactly. I don't know how he believes that.
Exactly. And the linesman went up, and there was this linesman that was getting almost all the decisions wrong. There was a 50-50 situation between Umbata, Musa Libusa, and they decided to slide for the ball. And then that linesman decided that it was a free kick to ETS Galax. You ask yourself, if it was inside the penalty area, it was going to be a penalty. And that was a wrong decision because Umbata, when he tried to stand up, he held back Ulibusa on the neck. And that was, that linesman, yeah.
So once again, the referee's in the spotlight here.
Exactly, Brahma.
Xolisa, I always appreciate your call. Let's go to Tulani. Tulani is in Sky City. He wants to speak about the Galaxy match. Tulani.
Yeah, hello, Ma.
Hey, Wulan, man.
Sure, man. I just have one only for Bongani. Sportsmanship. You know you've committed a foul. Okay, you were not aware that it was that bad. But go to the player, comfort the player, show remorse that oh, dude, I'm really sorry.
But if like you're saying, Tulani, if I don't know, doesn't that change the situation?
Yeah, but looking at Parker laying there, and we are born now, like joining. All you can do, like take for instance, the situation Marcelo when he broke that guy's leg. He went, and then he even showed remorse that it wasn't his intention to do that. But Andile is like a career-ending injury. So you need to be remorseful. You need to think of the family. You need to think of everyone. You need to think of
yeah.
You see, so now what he did, he just acted like China. As I'm a friend, must hear it from the team. What we saw is arrogance.
So like basically, it's not what he did; it's what he didn't do. It's what he did afterwards.
Thank you. You see, you just put it straight. What he did after.
Thank you.
Tulani, I hear you out in Sky City. David, it's been a very long time. Deza.
Thank you for taking my call and pass my greetings to the crew. I want to add to this Zungu incident. You know, a player, whenever they go for a tackle, they must know that it can also reciprocate and come back to them. And he must put himself into the opponent's shoes, because it's not about murdering each other. I mentioned previously, and there is a player called Umvala. Umvala goes for an opponent and he spends most of the time heavily bandaged. Come to Bafana, he doesn't do the same. You'll never see him in the bandage. I want also to recite, you remember what once happened to Kolamlambo when Pirates was playing Sundowns? That double kung fu thing by Sirino and Gegana on Kolamlambo. He ended up getting a yellow card for complaining. You understand? With these Sundown players, I think they need to do some anger management. Especially, I know they have got a star-studded team, but entitlement to win everything might also deceive them.
So are you saying to me, David, that you think that it's within Sundown's culture to play that sort of football?
Sundown's players are becoming rough. And if you check most of the tackle, look at what happened in the MTN. Mukwena nearly broke this Saleng ankle. It was never mentioned.
Oh, no, it was mentioned, David. It was definitely mentioned.
Yeah, yes. You as the crew, yes, I know you mentioned. I mean, when it comes to the other press, they just suppress it as if nothing is happening. And look at what Mbala did to that light pirate, this Mfukeng. He took him off. That was robust. Yeah? Sundown players are getting away with murder. My fear is one player will die on the field, especially with the Mbala hitting on the head. I'm telling you, we will have a player dying on the field, and it won't end well.
David, out in Neverland, worried about the safety of players and the culture at Sundowns at the moment of what seems to be rough play. I don't know if it's culture. I don't think I would come out and say that. But let's go to Mpo. Mpo's out in Pretoria. Also wants to address the Zungu thing. Mpo.
Yes, how are you, man?
Hey, man, it seems I'm better than most.
Yeah, first time on radio.
Hey, welcome. Don't make it the last time. Talk to me. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, look, man, Mr. Andile, if indeed you are a football player, you know, you will go and consult with another player and to check the player and see if the player, in terms of the injury, what level of injury is the player. But when you just go to the referee and now you are arguing with the referee, no, that's not football, man. Like, I feel like Bongani Zungu, he must just apologize. And just
let me ask you this. Let me ask you this very quickly. If Bongani Zungu apologizes a week from now or a month from now, I mean, is there a time frame to which he must apologize? Because we're all saying, has he apologized? Is there a time frame to say when he must apologize?
I don't think there was a time frame. He was just supposed to apologize as soon as the match ended. Went to the technical team of TS Galaxy to engage with them and say, guys, I'm sorry for what I've done. Not to argue with the ref. I didn't like that, to be honest. Like, no, that's not a sporty thing, man.
Oh, thank you so much, Mpo, out in Pretoria. We'll be taking more of your calls in just a few. I want to quickly go and speak to the brand director at Carling Black Label, Arne Rust. He must be so excited with what he's seeing at the moment. I mean, the game, he might have brought in a lot of negative emotions in terms of what happened last night, but the excitement that it's brought in general. It's just been so amazing. Arne Rust is with us now on the line. Arne, I mean, absolutely fantastic. Your very first one. What are your thoughts after your very first match?
I can't believe it, to be honest. If that's the first match, I stagger to think what the next 14, 15 matches are going to look like.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm just as excited. And I can imagine that the whole crew was watching yesterday's match with excitement. But talk to us about the Carling Black Label brand, because it's become so synonymous with innovation. We've seen it in the Carling Cup. You know, the innovation was staggering in terms of what people could do to get involved in the game of football. But tell us more about the Carling Knockout Cup and the kind of innovation that the champion fans will get to experience this time around.
No, sure. We're definitely not breaking something that works. To our knowledge, the Carling Cup And the way that we empower the champion fans is a world first, and one that's probably the most exciting fan-generated, say, campaign in the world, right? And I stand to be corrected. Anybody who knows of a better one, you're welcome to give me a call. For the last 12 years, we've tried to not only make Africa's best tasting and most awarded beer, but to really empower the fans, because any player who's played in an empty stadium knows that without the fans, there really is nothing. So what we've tried to do this year is we've taken the feedback from our fans saying, what about the other teams, right? For many years, we had great partners in Orlando Pirates and in Kaizer Chiefs, but we really wanted to make the circle bigger, to spread the love. So last year, we dipped our toe in Abulekile Amasango. We opened the gates. We had Sundowns there, and we had AmaZulu there. And this year, we have all 16 teams competing for a brand new Carling Knockout Trophy. I'm not sure if you saw that black matte and gold trophy.
Oh, so beautiful.
People talking about wanting to get their hands on it and putting their names on it. So that's exactly the game that you saw last night, right? And the kind of energy that we're hoping to bring to the game, and which is why we're calling our campaign Fakugezi. Fakugezi, to bring that energy that we love in South African football, that's such a hallmark of great South African football, and to inspire the players to really bring it and just bring everything. And the winners of this knockout tournament will then play a fan-selected team on the 6th of Jan. So we're not taking the power away from the fans. In fact, the fans now have even more power because they can choose players from any of the teams to go and play on the 6th of Jan against the winners of the knockout.
I like what it's called. I like the CKO. I think that's got a nice ring to it. And the more I hear about it and the Carling Cup together, the more I get excited about it. Fagu guess is what we're talking about. But as a fan, how do I use my champion voice to influence the game and faga this very guess you were talking about?
Well, first, you need to go get yourself a black label. Now, if you ever needed a better excuse or another reason to go buy a Carling, this is definitely it. You can see it in the 500ml can. It's got that victorious man right with his fingers in the air, almost what we saw a lot of last night. You can find that in trade right now. So your local bottle store, your local tavern, go and buy that. And we still have that code under the underliner. And then all you need to do is to follow the instructions on the pack. It's as simple as dialing *120 *660 and then putting in your code, ending it with a hash, and that gives you a vote. And all of these votes count. We have almost 200,000 votes already for the Carling All-Star team to play on the 6th of Jan. And we saw some really great engagement last night with people voting for the man of the match and people predicting the time of the first score, the Fakigolu Zobona, as we call it. So it's as simple as going and buying a black label, following the instructions and voting.
And as we wrap our conversation, like the man of the match, the champion fans are rewarded with up to 90,000 rands is what I'm hearing. 100,000 rands going to the players, which is also unprecedented in changing the game. There's also 90,000 that could come to me.
Oh, absolutely right. And on that first point of the man of the match, I'm not sure if you picked up the amount of energy that was in that Galaxy side in the first 5 minutes last night, but we're hoping that we're at least a small part of the incentive for the players.
I bet you are.
It's like the amount of. I've even had a chat with one of the coaches, and I won't say who it is, but his team physio came to him, and the physio said, "Coach, these players, I've never seen them train this hard." And he was like, "But why?" He says, "Hey, coach, 100K nyana." Like, of course the guys are training this hard, and that's exactly it. We want to see the best football, and I think last night was a great showcase of absolutely fantastic football. So that's the man of the match. And for you as a fan to also win some money, we have that Fagigolu Zobona, which is a countdown clock, right? When the game starts, right, there goes the kickoff. There's 90,000 rand on the clock, and there's 90 minutes on the clock, and it counts down to 0. So in the 90th minute, or in the first minute, there's 90,000 rand. In the 90th minute, there's nothing. So if you predict that, let's do a hypothetical, that TS Galaxy would score in the 13th minute, then in that case, there's 77,000 rand still on the clock. And what happens if that happens is that TS Galaxy win the money, so 77,000 rand to TS Galaxy, and 77,000 rand to one lucky fan who predicted that. And as luck would have it, we had 5 fans last night who predicted the 13th minute. And on the 13th minute, that ball rocketed into the net. So out of those 5, we've now selected a winner. We're busy with the vetting and the auditing process. And that winner wins the 77,000 Rand. And you don't even need to go buy a beer for that boat. That's like even more bonus. So Carling is just like, we're going full blast on this one.
Oh, I appreciate your time as always on the rest from Carling Black Label. Remember that Fagi goal is now. Visit carlingblacklabel.co.za to stand to win up to 90,000 Rands every match. T's and C's apply.